All right, hello and welcome to our Community Conversation series between Safe Harbor of Sheboygan County and the Child Advocacy Center. My name is Vanessa and my role with Safe Harbor is in volunteer and community engagement. Our goals of the series are focused on creating a greater understanding about community agencies that victim survivors of sexual assault may first report to, along with gaining clarity regarding the roles of those agencies, the mechanisms of their support, and the resources available through those agencies. The series is also focused on creating more awareness surrounding the options available to victims and survivors so they are able to make a more informed decision about how they choose to navigate community resources. Today I'm joined by Heidi and Samantha with the Child Advocacy Center. Welcome, and could you begin by introducing yourself and speaking on what your roles and responsibilities are at the CAC?
Sure, I can start. My name is Sam, and I'm one of the forensic interviewers at the Child Advocacy Center. I have been a forensic interviewer here since January of 2019, and I do interviews at both the Saukville location and at the Sheboygan satellite location as well.
And I'm Heidi, and I started here at Lakeshore Regional Child Advocacy Center in 2019 as the full-time advocate. And I recently just started, I was promoted to the other full-time forensic interviewer. So today I'm going to be talking about the advocacy program here at Lakeshore Regional Child Advocacy Center. And Sam's going to talk a little bit about the forensic interviewing.
Awesome, thank you guys. So my next question is, why are children interviewed at your office versus by law enforcement?
Sure. I think it might help to understand what a child advocacy center is. And so I think maybe we'll speak to that first, and then we could get into some of those details, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So a child advocacy center it's a place where investigative teams come together and families can come and navigate child abuse investigations and get trauma-informed services throughout that process. So a child advocacy center provides a few different services. One of them is a forensic interview, also connections with advocacy, child abuse medical exams, and we can also do mental health referrals and help families, children and families, navigate any sort of referrals that they may need or connections that we can help with. So when we think about child advocacy centers, there are really three big pillars that come to mind. So one, we want to create a space that's safe for children, to feel like they're safe and they can come and talk, and also a space that's family friendly, child friendly, and also a space that's neutral. So those are things that every child advocacy center keeps at the forefront of their mind, and that those are the pillars of the space that we try to create at our center while families are here.
So kids are brought to the Child Advocacy Center to be forensically interviewed for a number of different reasons. Disclosure of or discovery of sexual abuse or sexual assault, physical violence, physical abuse, witnessing domestic violence in their home, neglect, and witness to any other type of violence or homicide. Also kids that are in homes where drugs are being used, so drug endangered children as well.
Great, thank you guys for explaining that. If there's an interview at the CAC, does that automatically mean it'll be charged or go to court?
The answer to that is no. So when there's a CAC appointment or when there's a forensic interview conducted, that piece is one part of a larger investigation. So when families come through our doors and they get services from our center, and investigative teams come to our center, the team really comes together to try to gather information to help them know what to do next. But there's so many other things that happen in child abuse investigations after families and teams leave our center. So it doesn't mean that if there's a forensic interview conducted, or if there's a child abuse medical exam, or if a family comes through our doors, that case would ever even see the inside of a courtroom. And it doesn't mean that anything is charged automatically or anything like that.
Great, thank you. All right. So are victim survivors and their families required to participate in a CAC interview?
So once a family gets to the Child Advocacy Center, our services that we provide are optional for families. So it's optional for a parent to, if they'd like to meet with an advocate, but we always have that service available for them. Also, child abuse medical exams and forensic interviews are things that we try to do our best to provide information on and answer questions about, but we certainly don't force anyone to participate in those services.
Great, thanks. So what do forensic interviews, I'm sorry about that, what do they look like?
Sure. So a forensic interview is a method of gathering information from a child who's suspected to be a victim of a crime or a witness to a crime. So most often we see those different types of abuse cases, like Heidi mentioned: physical abuse, drug endangered children, sexual abuse, neglect, those sorts of cases. And the interviews are done in a way that's developmentally sensitive, and the interviews are recorded from the time we get in the interview room until we leave, and to help support a legally sound interview as well. So how it looks, to kind of be able to picture this better, the child will go into the interview room with the forensic interviewer, and then the investigative team is able to watch from a different room in live time and be able to know everything that the child wants to share. And that helps the team know everything the child wants to share without the child having to talk to multiple people. And the hope is, with that recorded interview, that the child doesn't have to be asked the same questions lots and lots of times.
Great, thank you. What does trauma-informed care look like through the CAC?
This one too.
So some of the ways that our center practices trauma-informed care, in the waiting room, there are a lot of kind of fidgets for the kids to use, so that a lot of kids like to have something in their hands for coping. There's coloring, but all of the activities that we have are pretty quiet and not overwhelming for children. Our center is completely family friendly. You know, we make it a practice to have it not be overwhelming when they get to our center. A lot of the practice itself of having the MDT meeting here at the center and having advocacy here present, a lot of, in just the way that interviewers are trained is trauma informed itself. So we provide advocacy for the family, and so we understand that this is affecting a whole family unit, and that in order for the kids to get the best care possible, that we need to kind of take care of the family as well. And so we really approach that with a trauma-informed lens as well.
I think the other thing too is that we are a center that tries to bring all of the services together, so that families don't have to do multiple appointments and miss connections. Like sometimes families without a CAC might not ever get connected with a community advocate. And so I think that we really try to pull all of our partners together and collaborate to walk families through the investigative process. So, you know, the hope is that a child can come to the center and get a forensic interview and a child abuse medical exam in one appointment, all while the family is being connected to advocacy to figure out how we can help support the whole family unit with one appointment, not having to repeat everything to multiple providers and go all around town to different appointments. So that's, I think, another piece of just our overall trauma-informed care at the center.
Minimizing that repetition and just being Sam has said multiple times just that our environment is a neutral environment. These interviews have been done in police departments and things like that, which that may not be viewed as a neutral environment, or schools. Sometimes kids are talked to at schools, and that it is, can sometimes be a safe place for them, and we want to kind of minimize utilizing that safe place as well. So this is just a neutral environment where they wouldn't have to come here for any other reason. So it's definitely a safe place for families to have to talk about something that was very, very difficult, or could have been very, very difficult for them.
Great. Thank you very much for answering that unexpected question. The last one I have for you guys is there anything else you'd like the Sheboygan community to know about the Child Advocacy Center?
I think that, I think it's important to know that we are a small nonprofit, and we continue to work really hard to fulfill our mission. And that's a part of that is expanding to the Sheboygan Satellite Center. Our expansion, branching off of our Saukville location to be in Sheboygan, is our temporary home is within the Sheboygan Police Department. And so we've done our best to make that space to replicate what we have done here the best we can. And the hope is when we're able to open a second full functioning center to provide all of these same services to the Sheboygan County community. Anything else that you can think of?
Great. Well, thank you again, ladies. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.